Tom Fondle.
Welcome to Black Guy White Movie with your host, Maxwell Michael Towson.
Thank you for joining us on another week of Black Guy White Movie. I'm your host, Maxwell Michael Towson, and whether you're joining us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or now SoundCloud, shout out to SoundCloud, we finally did that. Thank you for coming back to another week of the nonsense. My imaginary auntie, Angela Bassett, just signed on to do Mission Impossible 6. And I'm very excited for that because I love the Mission Impossible series except for the second one. And it's not really John Woo's fault that the second one wasn't good. He just didn't understand what it takes to make a good Mission Impossible movie. All you have to do is make sure that Tom Cruise is on the run. Anytime you see a trailer where Tom Cruise is on the run, you know it's going to be a good movie. The first one, he was on the run because they thought he killed his team. The third one, he disobeyed orders. He's on the run. The fourth one, it was Ghost Protocol. He's on the run. The fifth one, the CIA was trying to take him down. He's on the run. John Woo wanted to make like a beautiful bad guy versus good guy movie. And that just is not the move for Mission Impossible. It just has to be about Tom Cruise being on the run. But in the news of the week, I just wanted to, and that's not even the news, I just wanted to shout out Angela Bassett because Auntie's getting work out here and she deserves. The news of the week is about Stella McGahey or Maggie. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but she is the director of the movie Everything, Everything, which is in theaters now, and you guys should definitely go check that out. But she is a black woman who kind of has I want to call it a traditional rise in the industry, but it's kind of unusual for a black woman to have this type of rise. She just one day up and quit her job as a publicist. They did this great write-up on her in the LA Times, which you guys should go check out. It's by Travell Anderson. And she just kind of up and quit her job as a publicist, decided to go back to school to be a writer-director, and her first movie, Gene of the Joneses, took off at South by Southwest. It had rave reviews, and from there she kind of started getting opportunities to do whatever you want, because when you're the hot new director from one of these festivals, they kind of give you a chance to pick your next project. And the project she picked, of course, was Everything, Everything, which is a book written by a black woman. So I just think this is a project that should be highlighted because, as I said in previous weeks, black women don't necessarily get the most direct path to the industry, and it's great to see, and our representation isn't quite the same. So it's great to see her with this traditional path in the industry, and that she's picking these films that this isn't necessarily going to be a blockbuster, but it's definitely a film we should go check out, or everyone should go check out. And I'm going to be honest, it's not some shit I want to see, but I'm going to support her just to give her my little bit of coins. And hopefully this movie makes enough for her to do the next film and the next film and the next film, and that she'll someday get up to that Queen Ava level that we all strive to be at.
Tom Fondle.
I remember the first time I heard of Tyler Perry. One of my cousins had, I don't know which stage play it was, but I want to say it might have been Diary of a Mad Black Woman, but I could also be making that up. But they had a VHS tape of the stage play, which I thought was completely trash. And then the movie was coming out. They were hyped for it. It was so much hype behind Tyler Perry doing a film. And at the time, only thing I saw was just stage play that I didn't really enjoy. Went to see Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Wasn't my favorite film, but it was definitely dope that he was out here killing it at the box office. And since then, I mean, him and I want to say the Hunger Games are really the reason that Lionsgate has been popping like they have been over the last few years. Like, he's definitely done his thing to keep that company afloat. And I think you have to give him his props for that. Most recently, Tyler Perry had an piece in The Hollywood Reporter. It's by Marcia Guthrie, or Marissa Guthrie. See, I'm already messing up names. Sorry, Marissa. But they have a piece inside where Tyler Perry talks to her about race in Hollywood, creative freedom, and also about Bill Cosby, because every black person has to talk Bill Cosby for some reason these days. I don't know why, but it's almost like you just have to. Like, nobody has a reason why you have to, but the question is always going to come up of, what do you think about Bill Cosby? But in the piece, Tyler Perry talks about his rise and how he came up, the property that he has in Atlanta that he bought for $30 million and has turned it into like a state-of-the-art complex where they shoot The Walking Dead now, and a whole bunch of different projects that he has with Oprah and on OWN TV. His own film projects that he just had, Bua Madea Halloween, which it made a lot more money than I thought it was going to make. I'm not going to lie to you guys. That movie balled out in my mind. That movie crushed it. But it's a very good piece that I think everyone should check out. Like, I definitely enjoyed the overall piece. And in the piece, he kind of talks, like, Tyler Perry in this piece comes off as like the world's top humble bragger. So I'm going to read, like, one of the things he talks about is pretty much that he doesn't get notes about anything, which if you're in Hollywood, or even if you're not in Hollywood, you've written a paper or something before or done an assignment before, and somebody came back and gave you a note and said, hey, change this, maybe adjust that, maybe do this. And Tyler Perry is brashly out here just saying, I don't get notes. I don't even, get notes from Oprah. Like, Mama O don't even say shit to me about this. And it's kind of crazy that that's just okay in these streets, because not to say that, again, he's been crushing the game forever. He deserves everything he has, but notes are important, especially with some of the products that he puts out. Most aren't great, but getting notes in any aspect of your career is always a good thing, because you kind of sometimes can't see the trees from the forest. And it's a crazy thing not to think that you always need just a second eye to kind of look at things, because your taste isn't always everybody else's taste. Even though Tyler Perry has been crushing it, so maybe I don't know shit. That was an interesting tidbit that I did like to see, that he was just out here humbly being like, I don't do notes. Like, why do I ever need to see notes or know notes or think about notes? Shit is amazing. I also found it interesting that one of the questions that was asked was pretty much about black representation in film. And Tyler Perry didn't think that it was necessarily a racial issue, but more about money, that he would be respected no matter what, as long as he was making money in the industry. And I don't know. I think it's very strange that that's his mindset. I don't know if he's in a different place now that he's successful and doing his thing. I hope he doesn't really think that's true, that it's only about money and not necessarily who's making the money or how they're making the money. Because if it was a case where everything was only about money, you would be seen as one of the top 5 directors in the game right now, and they don't put you at that place. These Madea films will be getting recognition from all types of academies and all types of award shows and everything, and they don't see you in that place. Even people shit on Michael Bay as a filmmaker, but even his films have a sound quality to it that people award. They have CGI and effects that people give awards to. They have set decoration that maybe he'll get an award. Something technical always happens in a Michael Bay film that is acclaimed, even when people say they don't like him, and it ends up making $1 billion at the box office, so that also helps. Tyler, you have to see that you're not getting that love that some other artists are getting, even though you are putting up comparable numbers at the box office compared to budget. Like, you're crushing it, and you still think that it's only about green. I think that's a very misguided way to handle things. And it's also hurtful that some aspiring screenwriter or director will read that and really think that they don't have to keep pushing even harder. Some minority anyway, director or screenwriter that's aspiring to be that, will read these things and not think that they have to push harder and try even harder and do more than they're doing now, just because that Tyler Perry says everything's a meritocracy and it's only about money, and just if my movie makes money, then I'll get the next movie. Because honestly, you can ask a guy like Tim Story, who real quick, shout out to Tim Story because he's doing the movie on the Tulsa riots. They just announced that as well. So shout out to him because that's going to be a dope-ass film. But you can ask a guy like Tim Story who's been crushing it for years at the box office. He's been doing superhero films. He's been doing what they call black films. He does the spectrum of films that eclipse $100 million, $200 million. And yet at the same time, he's not getting the same love as other auteurs in the directing field. F. Gary Gray, the same thing. He's probably the first black guy that just crossed $1 billion at the box office. We'll see what his next film is. It's not the same choices out here, Tyler, as these other white artists that decide. I mean, a lot of these guys sometimes fail up. I've seen 4 to 5 Pirates of the Caribbean movies now, and only one was good. So it's something there that it's more than just how much money is made. And I just hope you point that out the next time, that it's not just about the money and the green at the box office, but there are other factors that should keep people inspired to do more and step up their game, because it's not going to be as easy as, hey, you have this many views on YouTube, so you've made it, or hey, you made this much money at the box office, so you made it. No, you have to keep pushing and keep striving to even make it where all the hard work Tyler Perry has done. And I feel like he's lessening even his hard work by saying it's only about the green. So Tyler, I love it. I love you, but come on, it's more than about the money this time, man. But everyone should definitely go check out the piece. It's on The Hollywood Reporter. It's named Tyler Perry Talks Race in Hollywood, Bill Cosby and Creative Freedom. And I Don't Get Notes is definitely on there for clickbait. So go check that out at The Hollywood Reporter, and we'll be right back.
Tom Fondle.
This is
Are You Dumb?
On Black Guy White Movie.
This week on this week on Are You Dumb is probably one of my favorite stories that I ever heard in my life. And so we've all been on bad dates before. I've probably been a bad date. I know I've been a bad date, which is fine. But I've never taken dating to this level before, where I had to sue a young lady after the date. This guy is just probably one of the most amazing people I ever heard of. Like, let's go to Inside Edition for the story.
This dude is suing this woman for texting during their first date. No joke.
She was behaving as though this behavior was perfectly normal. So much so that I actually thought to myself, who does this?
Brandon Vesmar met Crystal Cruz on Bumble, the online dating site. He took her to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 on Saturday night at this movie theater in Austin, Texas. Brandon paid $17.31 for each ticket. The date was going just fine until...
About 15 minutes into the movie, the phone comes out. It's text, 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 read, 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 text, text, text. I mean, it was nonstop.
My best friend texted me to make sure I was okay on my date. It was about a total of 3 texts.
Do you think your texting was obnoxious?
No, not at all.
But Brandon says he really got fed up.
I said, maybe you can take it outside. I've seen people get kicked out of movies for things like this. Next thing I know, she says, I'll be right back, stands up, leans in, I'll be right back. Never saw her again.
Now, most guys would be like, whatever, not a good match, move on. But not Brandon. The next day, he sent Crystal a text demanding his $17.31 back.
Your behavior Saturday was not only rude, but it cost me money. I want you to compensate me for the $17 movie ticket. Will you do this, or do I have to pursue the money in small claims court?
I text him back, this is insane. I am not paying you back for the date. I laughed it off because I didn't believe that it would come to this.
But he meant it. Here's the paperwork Brandon just filed in small claims court demanding $17.31. He even claims Crystal's texting habit is a threat to civilized society. We thought we could help mediate, so our Megan Alexander brought Brandon and Crystal back to the movie theater where the date went south.
Crystal has something she wants to say to you.
What do you want to say, Crystal?
The date just didn't work out, and I will love to give you your $17.31 if you can just leave this alone.
So my man, you really invited a chick out to the movies. Now, let me hold up. Let me go through his mindset really quick so I can try to figure this out. Because as a guy, I'm really trying to get how he got to the point where he just felt like he could sue a chick for $17.31 after harassing her little sister first. So let me break it down. So he's on a dating app. He's not even that great looking of a guy. So I gotta judge the young lady first for her even accepting this date. Maybe they're in a small town and he's like a top 5% in that town. I'm not quite sure. But she can do better. Because if you look online at the story, she's a pretty chick. Like come on. You can do better than this. So my man, you meet the girl online. You ask her out. You do the first date thing. So you do the dinner and a movie, I guess. I guess it was going to progress to a movie. It starts out already that she's your ride. So you don't even have the transportation to come get her or say, hey, let me hop in an Uber and meet her there. You don't have no shame in your game at all from the jump. You just like, nah, shorty, come pick me up. And then we're going to go see Guardians of the Galaxy, which you're obviously super into. She accepts. You guys get to the movie. As a guy, right, that means the whole time she's driving, she's never even had a chance to tell her friend that she's not being harassed or hurt or something crazy by some dude she just met online. You gotta understand that she's gonna text a friend at least once or twice. At the same time, I kind of get his point because people texting in the movie theaters is the most annoying shit. Nobody's life is that busy. You can put your fucking phone down for 2 hours. Well, I guess in Guardian's case, 2 hours and 20 minutes. Fuck you. I don't care about your kids. I don't care if you have to check in with the nanny. I don't care if it's a big business meeting that you got to check your email for. Don't come to the fucking movies then. And especially you people that bring your children to the movies and still want to check your fucking phone. Why are you doing this to us? Like, we're trying to quietly watch a movie and enjoy ourselves, and yet at the same time you guys want to be out here. It's just like, just stop, just please stop. But my man, let me get back to you because you need to be talked to. The chick's in the movie theater, so you obviously used this dating app and wanted to take her out because you found her physically attractive. You wanted to have sex with this young lady. Now, as a guy, you should know by now, sometimes women or people, period, do some annoying shit. You let it go so you can have sex. Yes, we all do this. Somebody might smack their teeth a certain way. They might smoke. Whatever the fuck they do, you kind of let things go on the level of cuteness they are or how much you want to have sex. You obviously would rather go home and jerk off to Zoe Saldana in a Gamora costume than have sex with the young lady that you brought to the movies because you really talk shit to her about texting 3 times in the movie theater. Not only, my thing is, it's cool to say it like, hey, do you mind not texting? But to tell her maybe you should go outside, like, my man, you gotta, what are we doing here? Like, are you really there to really watch the movie over having sex? Like, is porn that great? Like, I got some favorites too. I get it. You know, I love Anya Ivy. She's one of my favorites. But if it's Anya Ivy or somebody I'm dating or going out on a date with, it's going to be the date. The date's going to win every time. Anya Ivy is not coming to my house to satisfy me when the date doesn't. So, what the fuck? Then also on top of that, shorty leaves, so you just lost your ride. So you're not thinking there either because now you ain't got no ride home because she left you. The movie was decent, so hopefully you loved the movie because it was definitely a decent film. Then your mindset is to go home, text the girl, probably cussed her out a little bit, and called her rude because she left you, which isn't rude because if you're going to tell me what to do, I'm your ride, you're fucked. Then you harass her little sister. I don't know how the little sister got into this, but somehow you harassed the sister. And then you decide to sue her for $17.31 instead of just chalking up that L, going home and jerking off, and going to sleep and forgetting about this chick. You just remove her from your likes or whatever the fuck. Hopefully she didn't have your Instagram at that point, so you don't got to delete her off that or block her. But you just move on with your fucking life. Why would you? Like, bruh, you got some problems, and you need to think things out clearly next time. sex comes first in these situations. Don't, like, meeting new people. And in this instance, it was about sex. I don't care if they call them dating apps. These are sex apps. Yes, some people do actually work it out and be together, but they should be on Match, because Match actually has an aspect to it where, you know, you read in profiles, you get to know these people. It's an algorithm that probably puts certain people with other people, whatever the fuck it is. But this shit is strictly off looks. This is about sex. She wanted to have sex at some point. Or she at least thought she can get a free Guardians of the Galaxy ticket out of this, which she couldn't even finish because you didn't let her finish the fucking movie. So listen, the next time somebody is doing some annoying shit and you're out here trying to get sex, just don't be fucking stupid. Just don't. You know what? Just play the like the little sound, because I'm done with this nigga.
Are you dumb?
This week we're reviewing Alien Covenant, directed by Ridley Scott, screenplay by John Logan and Dante Harper, with music by Jed Kurzel, cinematography by Dorwitz Wachowski. See, what's fucked up is I tried to do that 3 times and I still messed up his name. So Dorwitz Wachowski. All right. Editing by Petro Scolia, with production design by Chris Sagers. Also set design by Victor Zolfo. Victor Zolfo. See, I write this shit down and I still mess up their names. I'm sorry, Victor. So Victor Zolfo. Or maybe he wants to go with Victor J. Zolfo, because that's how they have him on IMDb. So Alien Covenant, that's the movie we're doing. Sorry for any spoilers, but it's going to be definitely a lot of spoilers. And enjoy. And we're back, ready to do this review for Alien Covenant. So this week we have a guest, actually. We have writer, director, cinematographer. His wife actually just got spinach picked out of her mouth by Kim Kardashian at the Met Gala. So
true story.
That's very interesting. We have Justin Ervin here today. How you doing, Justin?
I'm feeling great. Thanks, Max.
Good. So you're here to do Alien Covenant. So what did you think about the film? Like,
well, you know, I'm actually disappointed that you hated it also. I was actually really hoping that you would like it so that we could have some back and forth, because I really did not like it. I
mean, I like things about it, but it wasn't for me. I also didn't like Prometheus, and you love Prometheus.
Prometheus was the movie.
But it was the same. This was the same movie. They just extended Prometheus.
I beg to differ.
Okay, so first of all, like, where did you go see it? Like, what was the atmosphere? Did you watch it at home? Like, what was going on?
Okay, so I went to, is it the Regal on Union Square?
Okay.
I went to the Regal. I went ahead and did the whole, the whole kit and caboodle. Did the 4DX experience.
Okay.
Which I absolutely hated.
Why did you hate that's the best experience there, isn't it?
No.
Okay.
It's far from it. I think it's completely antithetical to what filmmaking should be. So, for example, unless you're on a ride at Epcot Center,
okay,
there's no need to have your seats moving, air blasting at you, water squirting at your face, foul water too. It's not even nice. It's not a fun experience.
So they actually had water splashing in your face during the movie?
So if anybody's ever done the 4DX, it's like trying to add the 4th dimension to filmmaking, right? So you have seats that are very similar to a Universal Studios ride. Okay. And so it'll tilt left, tilt right, roll, jolt you if something crazy is happening.
Right.
And also in front of you there's a little console that blasts air at you or spits water at you depending upon what's happening. So for example, if you had seen the Jurassic Park there, when the dinosaur spit at the guy, you probably would have got some. You would have got
some spit on you.
You'd have got spit on you as well.
That sounds a little disgusting.
It's gross. I'm already a germaphobe and a conspiracy theorist, so I don't want my mind to go in that direction with that jet stream just blasting. I don't like that at all.
So you're telling me, for example, in the movie, before we even get into it, but you're telling me, for example, when the blood got thrown up on Carmen, like that probably water came out.
Well, not me, because I went straight to one of the managers and said, "Can I get a folding chair, please?" They said, "Why?" No, I'm serious. I sat and watched Alien Covenant in a folding chair in the handicap section because I did not want to sit in the moving jolting chairs.
Yeah, that does sound a little okay.
I feel like if your movie needs that, it's probably not a good movie.
I guess that's true, but I think it's more of a theater thing, though. I think they're trying to bring in quote unquote millennials, and they want people to have like a full experience while they're at the movie theater. But I don't know if that's working.
I mean, it's meant to just raise dollars, which is interesting because, okay, so this to me ties into the whole thing because I'm a fan of the Alien franchise in general.
Right.
So I still think that the first one is the all-time best one. Nothing has topped the first one.
Can you say that even though you know all this background story behind the alien mythology because of this movie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The first one still had so much intrigue. The thing about the first one is it didn't show you everything, right? So, for example, one of the complaints that people have, sometimes people who, like the shoot 'em ups, is that you didn't see the alien enough. But the psychology of the film is what had you tense the entire time, not like bugs jumping at you.
So that's why you don't like Aliens, which is probably one of the best action movies ever. But okay.
You know what? I hadn't seen the first one until I was much older. So, well, no, I'm sorry, that's not true. I saw bits and pieces of it younger, which makes sense as to why they made the sequel because two totally different directors. James Cameron was the director for Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Ridley Scott, as we know, was the director for Alien. Two totally different filmmakers, two totally different approaches, two totally different ways of tackling the material, right?
Right.
So Cameron, as we know, is going to go for the spectacle. He's going to give you, by the way, speaking of immersive experiences, Avatar was great, but Avatar was designed to be 3D. So in the same way that this 4DX experience is just a tag along or tacked on to what the movie is,
right,
it wasn't intrinsic to the film.
Right, so it would have been different if it was actually something built in for that experience. But yeah, I think Avatar is still probably the best film I've ever seen in 3D.
Yeah, because it was totally made for it. Yeah, it was designed around that.
Right, yeah. So Avatar is definitely. I don't think I've liked a 3D movie since. The only other thing I think I even closely enjoyed was Gravity. Looked great in 3D, so that was pretty dope.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't think I liked anything else in 3D. But let's get into Alien Covenant. So first shot, we actually have a little. I don't want to call it a teaser to the movie, but maybe it is a teaser to the movie. So you kind of see the owner of Wayland Industries creating his original masterpiece, David.
So first of all, I don't know if you have the spoiler alert thing for your fans and your listeners.
Oh yeah, we do the spoiler alert right before because I don't have time for that. So.
Yeah, because I don't feel like you shouldn't be listening if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's
not true. You all should listen to whatever Maxwell does because he's incredible.
True, but
I mean, so listen at your own peril though, because we talk all through this stuff.
Right, yeah, no. Just spoil everything. I don't really care. Like, they can get upset, but it's not much you can do. Like, either you saw the movie or I'm helping you want to see the movie, but either way, it's like, just talk through it. But yeah, so the first scene is Wayland Industries. Like, he's creating David, which is the Michael Fassbender character. And you kind of see his creation and also his questioning of his creation. So he gets to meet his creator when he's first born, whereas his creator Wayland is still searching for his. So how did you think that like setup was and connecting everything from Prometheus to this movie?
I was actually really excited when I saw that part.
Okay.
Because I was hoping that Ridley Scott would continue this whole idea of origins in a more pointed way. Okay. I really liked that. And one of the things that I really liked about Prometheus was the origin story sort of mixing with a lot of not very well-known origin stories in terms of here on Earth, right? So the big giants and everything and the seeding, if you will, that they were doing is very similar to a lot of stories you hear about ancient history and like giants on Earth.
Right.
So that to me was fascinating how he sort of spun lesser-known stories about Earth's history with the alien lore. I thought that was really great. So when I saw Peter Wayland there with David, I was like, oh, great. They're going to continue to like, sort of take off of what Prometheus started, whereby they were tying in the corporation to the xenomorphs, and maybe we were going to see those big white guys again.
Right, no. I mean, we did, but not in the same way. But
not the same way.
No, they were not quite the same. No, for me, I thought that scene kind of because I came into the movie already thinking that I wasn't going to like it just because I didn't like Prometheus. And so then when I saw them set up something from Prometheus, I already had the mindset of, oh man, this is
gonna suck.
This is not going to go well. But I let it ride out because Michael Fassbender, I just love him.
Yeah.
And just his overall range, just in that scene alone of being an android, how he could think things through. And it was just, I just thought that was amazing. And even the whole setup of how just meeting your creator from birth and already questioning your creation is kind of an amazing setup.
Yeah.
Just to push forward through the movie, because these movies are set up to kind of give us answers of questions people have had for 35 years about the aliens and the xenomorphs, even though I still don't think we needed those answers. But
I think it should be more of a slow burn. So for example, Prometheus asked a lot of questions while it answered a lot of questions, right? So Prometheus gave you the answers, the big, I guess the tall, I don't know what they call, I don't remember what they called them. I guess just the giants. Remember in the first Alien, there was the dead one sitting in the big chair that looked like a big gun.
Oh, the engineers?
The engineers, thank you.
Yeah.
And we saw more of them in Prometheus, so I thought we maybe might see more engineers, because at the end of Prometheus, Noomi Rapace and Michael Fassbender flew off in the ship.
Right.
And I was like, great, we're going to go from there. But to your point about meeting the creator, that's one of the things I actually did like about the film, because that was one of the questions that was continued through Prometheus, that was, like I said earlier, the slow burn of creating the idea of, okay, well, where do we come from? What does that mean? And now David's own, well, when the movie unfolds after the credits, it's not David, it's what's the name of the other android that Fassbender plays?
I want to say it was Walter, or maybe
Walter.
it was Walter. Yeah, it was
Walter.
definitely Walter. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that. I liked how David said, "Let me get this straight. So you made me. I can't die. You will die." All those questions he asked you, you could tell that Waylon had a little drop of sweat. Like, oh, shoot, what have I done?
Well, yeah. So that's what made it interesting in that moment, was that he related power and creation to immortality. It wasn't necessarily that this is the person that created you. It was more of, he was disappointed that such a nothing life form could pretty much create him, and he's like, well, maybe I should. Yeah, it's like, maybe I should create some shit then, since you can just randomly, whimsically just say, okay, now I create you, which is a better life form in his mind. So I definitely thought that was dope. But I did have hope for the movie when the next scene they just showed the Covenant going across the galaxy. I was like, okay, maybe he knows now that I needed this in my life.
Yeah.
And it's time to get this going. So also, even though it's CGI, all that shit is CGI, the fucking Covenant looked amazing.
It was great. It was great.
Like, I know it's sometimes I'm going to actually, this is going to be a digression. So who's ever listening to this, you can bullshit me about this later. But
that's why they're here. I mean, what's a podcast without a good rabbit trail? I
guess that is true. But I just want to ask, like, you're a cinematographer, so how do you feel about that? You know, some DPs kind of have everything in the shot. Others, it's more green screen and CGI. Like, is that a thing where you're still basing it off the overall shot or just the movement of the shot? Like, how do you kind of feel about those two dynamics as you go out to shoot your own films, or even when it comes to award season? You know, they want to split those up sometimes.
Right. So are you talking about the exteriors of the Covenant, or the interiors?
Yeah, exteriors, interiors, just the overall, like, shot for shot. Like, when you see films, like, is there do you think there should be a certain delineation between CGI, between...
I kind of do.
Okay.
So, for example, you have one of my favorites, and many people's favorite, Roger Deakins, right?
Right.
Who was sort of always a bridesmaid, never a bride when it comes to award season.
That is true.
You know what I mean? He's been nominated how many times?
I would probably have to look it up, but it's probably... I would venture to say at least 6. I was going to go 8, but maybe, yeah. We'll probably go with 6. Yeah,
okay.
Let's say 6.
The last one I remember for sure being Skyfall.
Which is still probably...
It's dope.
Yeah. It's probably one of the very beautiful film. Like, it's
incredible.
Yeah.
So the reason I think there should be a different category is because if your movie is relying on, let's say, even 50, let's just give it like, let's give it the one extra point, right? The 51 to 49.
Okay.
If it's 51% digital, 49% shot live, if there's a big green screen, if there are, wire effects that then need to be painted out. If all this is happening, then yes, there is still a mastery of light and composition and color and lens choices, angles, all that kind of stuff that needs to be considered.
Right.
But if your digital team is placing everything else in there, there's a bit of a sharing of responsibility. So I feel like there should be maybe a different category of cinematography versus maybe augmented cinematography. I wouldn't call it digital because it's already digital. A lot of people are shooting on Alexas, Reds. So maybe augmented cinematography.
That's going to be a lot for somebody to say up on the stage. Augmented cinematography goes to.
That's a lot. But I don't know. I feel like people who are more who don't do the high effects movies aren't necessarily regarded as quickly as people that do the high effects movies, because the high effects movies draw bigger box office. The higher effects movies are seen by more people and have bigger buzz. But for example, a movie like, have you seen Ida?
No. Who's in that? Like, who shot that?
It was a Polish film that was made a couple years ago, black and white, and absolutely brilliant in its cinematography.
Okay.
But I don't remember if it was mentioned or nominated for cinematography. But all I know is something, a lot more whiz bang probably got the nomination and potentially the win.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's also always a political thing as well, so we can't always just go into the mastery of it. But then again, I was just wondering, like, is there a certain feeling about that moving forward with award season, or even people that should be...
P.S. Ida did win the Oscar for Best Foreign Language film.
It did? So. Okay, so it gave it something.
Yeah.
They tried to give it something, so that's good. But let me think. Back to the film. So we get inside the Covenant, and I got a quick question for you. So I just think that you don't even remember any of these people's names from the Covenant. So can you tell me who the main star of the movie, like what her name was in the movie?
Without IMDb?
Yeah, without IMDb. Can you tell me her name?
No, but I looked her up to see what else she was in. Because you know how you've seen someone before but don't know why? You know what I saw her in was Michael Clayton.
She was in Michael Clayton, you're right. Okay.
And I hadn't seen anything in between that she was in.
All right, so her name was Danny, which probably you would have... We heard it a couple of times, but not too much. How about Danny McBride? Do you remember his name in the movie?
Yeah, I do. I wanted to call him Texas at first, but it's Tennessee, different state.
Tennessee, okay, all right. Well, we did get Tennessee. How about my boo Carmen? What was her name in the movie?
Oh, jeez. First victim.
She was second victim, but...
Dead girl number one.
That is true. She probably is dead girl number one. But my whole point in saying this is, like, these alien movies, it doesn't matter who's in the fucking movie, they're going to die. Like,
unless it's Sigourney. If you see Sigourney Weaver, there's she died,
Sigourney
came back,
died, but then she came back as a clone.
P.S. Alien 3 was great.
Was that the prison colony one? No, come on.
Alien 3 was good.
Fuck that. But
Alien 3 should have been the sequel to Alien.
We can get into that later, but it's no fucking way you're going to tell me the prison colony Alien was a good movie.
It was all right. Better than Aliens.
But we're on the Covenant. There's no way a James Cameron film is going to be played like this. But so we're on the Covenant now. We kind of go through the same little everyday things that every Alien movie kind of does. They kind of build us up so later that the jumps will work. So we get this distress call from... what was Naomi's character? It was
her name was Noomi Rapace. Her character, jeez.
It was something it was something with a W. No. It was Elizabeth Shaw. So it was Elizabeth Shaw. They got a distress signal and they decide to go off. I want to say off mission. Like, it was pretty much off mission that they decided to go off mission. But even before that, my man Franco was in it.
Yeah, that was really curious to me.
Well, why was that curious?
Well, I guess in the same way that what's your boy's name who played Dr. Shaw's dad in all the flashbacks in Prometheus? Big name actor. He was in Watchmen. He was in Watchmen besides Dr. Manhattan, because Dr. Manhattan was in this one. Patrick Wilson played Dr. Shaw's father in all the flashbacks in Prometheus. So I guess in the same way they can have a A-list actor
Well, yeah. Then
not
again,
really
James
appear.
Franco will pop up in anything. Like
Yeah.
he's one of those guys that's just open. It's just.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, he just give me a call. I'll die in 30 seconds. It's like not. I mean, what was that one day of shooting for him? He had to be on a green screen.
Probably. But the thing is, him doing the rock climbing took me back to, not what's the name of the film?
With 128
days.
Yeah,
I was like, is this? Oh, okay. They're
it
mixing
might have been
genres.
from that. Like honestly,
Right.
like there's no reason to.
Mixing genres.
Yeah, it's no reason to reshoot anything. But yeah, so James Franco played their captain that died in a tragic accident. So they kind of moved Dr. Manhattan up to be the captain. And I won't use his real name because he's forever Dr. Manhattan to me.
Right.
Because Watchmen was a masterpiece until the end. Don't know what he was doing there, but
Yeah.
not quite sure. But
But you know what? This is on trend for you, on brand for you. Because
Why?
I'm not a huge superhero movie fan, and we could talk about
So
how
what you mean about Watchmen? Watchmen is on brand?
for you?
Right. So you didn't like Watchmen either?
I thought it was cool.
Oh, okay. But just cool, but not...
Yeah, it wasn't my genre. The thing is, people who know Watchmen said it was incredible because they were saying for a long time that was a film that could never be made because the book, the comic, the graphic novel was too.
Yeah, Alan Moore thought it was too dense and
Yeah,
had too much,
exactly.
gravity to everything. But, I mean, we're in the Batman versus Superman world now. Everything is super serious for no reason. So we got to...
Give me Christopher Nolan or give me death. I didn't see any of the new Batman.
So at least you
movies.
did enjoy the Christopher Nolan Batman movies.
You know why? Because the man's a psychologist. He was a psychologist for the longest. I mean, at least that's what his.
So you're saying he
formal
actually
training-
understands storytelling because of that a little bit better?
Well, for me, Batman, another rabbit trail, but just to bookend it real quick.
Right.
Batman's jacked up himself.
Oh, definitely.
You know, he doesn't have any superhuman capabilities. He's just a guy who dresses up trying to right wrongs and all that kind of stuff. So to get inside his mentality, and then in particular, the origin story in Batman Begins was great. And then to get inside the Joker's head was great. The third one, it was okay. But
Yeah, nobody came to see Talia al Ghul. Nobody was... We were good on that.
yeah. But
Like-
anyway, you were saying about how the real characters, because we don't remember everybody's name, with the aliens.
Well, yeah, so
and
that's the
what's
thing
it-
about these alien movies that you never really remember their name too much. Even in the James Cameron one, I mean, they make fun of the Marines. That's how you kind of remember their names
Remember
because it
Hicks.
was always somebody screaming somebody's
over,
name.
man, game
yeah.
over.
It's- so that's why you remember that. But honestly, like these are just xenomorph fodder. Like it doesn't matter
Exactly.
who these people are. But as we get into the movies, so they get a distress signal and they decide to go check it out. They were supposed to go to the planet was like Origami 6, I believe. It was
Yeah.
something like that. They were supposed to go to and set up a colony. So it seems like that Earth is dying and they want to go up, set up colonies in other places. And so this was their mission. They decided to go off course just because of the communication they got from Dr. Shaw. They get to the planet, and it seems like a perfect place. Like it's supposed to be better than their original idea. Dr. Manhattan is super happy now that he's actually there, and he might have finally made a good decision as a captain.
Yeah.
But the thing is about... See, I think... As you were mentioning earlier, I think the thing when you come into these situations where it's this empty planet and people have hope, as an audience, you want to have hope with them, but you know that some bullshit is coming. So,
Well, especially when you repeat the same trope that was in Aliens.
exactly.
For
So
example, the
it's-
hubris.
yeah.
So we see that in a lot of these captains. What was the Lieutenant Gorman,
yeah.
played by William Hope
Yeah,
in
right,
Aliens?
right.
He knew it all. You couldn't tell him nothing. And so people are dying. You know, game over, man, game over. Same with Billy Cudrup's character. You know, I can do it. I know better. That's not the mission.
Right.
Y'all flew for light years to get out here, and on a whim. That's the thing. So and that's when my heart started to sink, because we've seen this before.
Right.
And I wasn't a huge fan of Aliens. So when I saw him mixing the same template that we saw from Aliens with some of what I was expecting from Prometheus and Alien, then I was like, okay, this might just be a box office movie.
Well, yeah, he definitely had to lean more action for this one because I think he got hit I think his
He said
confidence
so.
got hit a little bit from Prometheus.
Yeah, you actually sent me that link.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think he was a little hit from Prometheus that, damn, maybe they don't want this intellectual fodder. They kind of just want more of shoot 'em up.
No, man, that's what I want. I want to think while I'm being entertained. Not all the time, but this is Ridley Scott. Like, he also gave us Blade Runner, right? I feel like he's one of those cultural prophets, right? So there are people who give you something to chew on in their fictitious movies that then, lo and behold, have relevance in the real world. For example, in Alien, it was about corporations taking over, the Wayland Corp, right?
Right.
Wayland-Yutani at that time, right? So that has turned out to be completely accurate for how the world is run today. It's all corporations, corporate-based.
Right.
It's for the company. Like, what is it? 5 corporations own all the media in the world?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah, so
maybe.
Yeah.
It's probably 1. We just don't know yet.
Right. The hand that pulls the strings, right?
Oh yeah, it's always going to be Skynet. So we gotta.
Exactly. Skynet and Wayland.
Yeah, come on.
Hey. And then, so even with Blade Runner, corporations were a huge thing. Well, Blade Runner also touched on the android and the whole synthetic life.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's, I think, what he's really pushing now in this. And even when you look at other movies that have come out that have sort of questioned the idea of the usefulness of humanity in light of synthetic humanity, it's another really interesting point that has come up in his films.
Well, yeah. So he could have leaned on those things in different ways, but I definitely think that he was hurt from the reaction to Prometheus, that he felt like he had to have some type of shoot 'em up in this film for it to even work this time, because it was like, by the time they got on the planet, of course, bullshit started happening. The face suckers were there. Oh no, did they come later?
They came later.
Yeah, they came
a
little
bit
bit
later.
later.
Weird mutations first, because I
Right.
thought, now tell me if I'm wrong, but I thought that the xenomorphs were supposed to take on the characteristics of whatever host they had.
I think in this incarnation of them, it was more of that they weren't quite fully realized xenomorphs quite yet, and that's why the Michael Fassbender version of it, he was kind of still working out the kinks. Like, by the time it got to, I guess, about 30 years later, when Sigourney Weaver met the first, like, her xenomorphs, that was like a fully realized one. I think the
Right.
one at the end was also a fully realized xenomorph by then.
For sure.
But that was only because he finally figured out how to grow them in the human host. So when Dr. Manhattan died and he grew that, like, xenomorph in the human host, he finally figured out the whatever it was that he was trying to figure out the whole time. I'm not quite sure what it was. They didn't explain that aspect of it, but he was experimenting on Dr. Shaw. He experimented on her boyfriend in Prometheus, just to kind of see what would happen if you just drop a little bit in, or the different situations. So I think not necessarily that it took on the full characteristic, but it's always some type of DNA transfer anytime it's a xenomorph. And that's why Sigourney Weaver now can't really be killed by them, because I think she was pregnant with, like, the queen at some point.
Right.
And so
I didn't see the fourth one.
okay, yeah, it's at some point where she can't be fucked with.
Right.
And then Alien versus Predator happened, and everybody was just over it, because I think that was the Sanaa Lathan one, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no one talks about that one.
It's the name that shall not be mentioned.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't see that one either.
Okay, but yeah, so
I
once
stopped
they
after
got they got on the planet, of course the same bullshit happened. You know, they're going to be chased, they're going to be tracked down, and luckily they are helped by the David character, Michael Fassbender's character from the first movie, the synthetic in the first movie, and he comes to them and saves them and kind of brings them in. And at the time, I don't know if he meant to do it like this, but at the time I already knew he was a bad guy, so I didn't quite. Like, did you feel that as well? Like, he was already...
Well, I had my doubts, because he certainly wasn't a protagonist. He was an antagonist in Prometheus.
Right.
But it was weird. What I liked about Fassbender's performance, well, first of all, he played dual characters, right?
Which is amazing.
With 2 completely different accents. I mean, I thought that was really cool.
Accents, postures, like,
ways of movement, yeah. But also, to see a robot go, quote, a little bit crazy was interesting, because David's character, you could tell he's a bit shell-shocked from being alone.
Right.
When this whole idea of continuing to tinker with the DNA of the xenomorphs inside human DNA, like, this is his real passion project. So, you know, he's been itching to try this again.
He hasn't had humans in a long time.
And lo and behold, a whole troop of them come down. which happened to be manning a vessel that has how many thousand?
So it was 2,000 colonists that they were supposed to help, and I think like 46 died.
Yeah.
When they first when they first got fucked up. So yeah.
So now he has a whole host, literally, of hosts for Xenomorph. So it's I can't wait to see the next one though. I want to see what's going to happen because
you think it'll be? I don't think it'll be a third one because they barely beat Guardians of the Galaxy this weekend. Like they made 36 mil to 35 for Guardians. So I'm not sure it's going to be a third unless overseas, unless China's on it. Then I don't think it'll be a third prequel to Aliens.
I bet the farm. Because
really, that's going to be a third. I think they're going to have to go get Sigourney back. Like they're going to have to do like a sequel instead of another prequel.
I don't know. I mean, in the article that you sent me a while ago, where did that come from?
I'm trying to remember.
So the audience
I want to
can read along at some point. But anyway, the gist of it was that really Scott was saying that he feels like he felt like he wanted to do a bunch of sequels to Alien because he really wanted to get into the lore and where they came from, the origins, how it ties into the architects, or rather engineers, and all that. But he said that he feels like he's going to have to chop down the number of sequels by a big amount because of people's I guess attention span. But this one was set up for a sequel.
This one, I mean, I thought Prometheus was as well, because anytime
absolutely.
you just fly off, it's like, where are we going, people? But yeah, no, this one was set up for a sequel, but I'm not necessarily sure it was set up for a sequel in the sense of that we need it. Like, it's more set up as if, okay, now you can just go into Sigourney and the first Alien movie now from this, because you kind of answered the questions that we had from Alien of where did these things come from, what's going on in this world, like why is everything, how can they grow so quickly and mutate so fast and things of this nature. I think you kind of have answered those questions, and you can go right into Alien now, to be honest, if he wanted to. I mean, of course, it's Hollywood, so they can make a sequel to, I mean, we're about to have 3 ride-alongs, so we can make a sequel.
That's funny.
To anything.
When, 45 Fast and Furious movies?
We'll see. I'm down with the Fast and the Furious movies. Until this last one, I'm going to say. But
I got to be honest, I haven't seen any of those either.
I don't know how that's the thing. Like, you have to see... I mean, you have to see at least the first 6. I mean, you probably don't want to watch 7 because Paul Walker, it's kind of hard to watch him because he died during that one. But, I mean, you got to watch the first 6 just to kind of...
Just to do it, huh?
Yeah, just to do it. It's just like some lazy Saturdays type thing. Like you and your wife could watch that. She's at least seen them, right? Or no?
I don't know. I'm sure she's seen at least a few of them.
Yeah, you got to... Like, Fast and the Furious is worth it. Just, even if... you don't enjoy them, it kind of makes you feel better about your path in life, that you feel like, you know what, I can do this. Like,
that's funny.
This is a business for me.
If they can make 9 of these, I can make 1 of mine.
Yeah, you can make something if they can make 9 of these. So it definitely works out. But the Dumbass Covenant crew, so now they're on the planet. They got trapped. I think they lost about 4 people at this point by the time they meet the Michael Fassbender character. And so he's trying to help them, he's not really trying to help them, but maybe he is, because I kind of thought...
David's a liar.
Well, yeah, he is a liar, but did he want... He was helping them set up communication, but in my mind, I was thinking, did he actually want them to have someone come to get them because then he can get to the ship?
Absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, so that's why I was thinking, like, did he actually want them to have help? So maybe that is the case, that he was just trying to get to the ship the whole time, which is kind of a dope setup for him. But then he got distracted by his own face because he gets to see the updated version of him.
Right.
In Walter, right? So in Walter. And we had the most... narcissistic homoerotic scene I think I've ever seen in my life, where
I think it's the perfect way to put it.
Yeah, David taught Walter how to blow a flute.
Yeah.
And I'm not joking. Like, was I want to say it was about a 5-minute scene.
It felt that way because it was a oneer. That was brilliant.
And they did camera work on it. So they kind of pan left, came back right, came center, just to kind of make sure you hit the CGI.
And mind you, back to your point earlier about cinematography, I thought that was brilliant because that's, I think, an interesting marriage of the two, right? Because it's a one-take shot that's obviously on a robotic system that allows you to mimic the movements
right exactly
as they were before. So the same character can play in both sides of the frame. But yeah, continue. But I thought that was really, really. It
No.
was seamless.
Yeah, no, the scene was a little creepy, but
Yeah.
it was shot very well.
Beautiful, yeah.
But yeah, it was very interesting to just kind of see like that character so in love with himself that I just want to know why he taught him how to play the flute. Can you?
Because the oral fixation. Okay, let me tell you.
Okay.
No, but they really harped on that a lot in this film. So one of the things about the first Alien that I thought was really cool was, so H.R. Giger, right, who is the artist who did the concept for the design for the aliens and all the alien spacecraft and stuff. So really dark in terms of content, in terms of tone as well, artist. And the impetus for the alien character came from the idea of like a supreme nightmare, right? And what happened was that he designed a character that mimicked in its look a phallus. So when you look at the xenomorph, that long head of it,
Right, is a
It's a
phallic
long
symbol.
head.
Okay, right.
so it's a phallic symbol. And furthermore, the face huggers, what's the most, fear-inspiring thing you can think of? Having something shoved down your mouth against your will, right? So that's what
That's their mindset of the
that's
face
what they
hugger.
are. Yeah, honestly, you're being orally raped. That's you're laughing, but look at but that's the reality of it. That's what they were looking for. So that was all hidden in the subtext of the creation of the aliens. And
I feel even worse for Dr. Manhattan now. Like
Yeah. they all got it. And so, but they all got it in the end.
Okay.
Thank you, folks. But
Here all week.
but no, I mean, so they really played that up. Like all the eroticism that was sort of latent and maybe understood, but hidden within context, was brought up to the surface again and like really on the nose. So whether it's David kissing himself or whether it's the shower scene.
Oh, you mean with
the alien's tail coming up and
right, with Jesse from the Mighty Ducks at the end. Okay,
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess he's in Empire now, so people probably know him from Empire. But yeah, they did have actually that kind of reminded me of it's this horror movie that did that too, where a girl kind of got raped by a tree type
Ooh.
thing. It was I just saw it not too long ago. We're gonna skip this because I know somebody later is gonna be like, "Oh, I know what movie you're talking about."
You Google search that one. I'm curious. That's
it's
different.
it's the guy that did Don't Sleep. Because he came to my school to talk about his meteoric film rise. Because pretty much this guy, not Don't Sleep, Don't Breathe. But pretty much this guy had a YouTube video that he was just doing over weekends where monsters attacked this city. And he was just kind of doing it over weekends, banging it out. Then finally he released it. It did huge numbers for him. He was killing it. Evil Dead, that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
And Sam Raimi hit him up and said, "Hey, do you want to do this Evil Dead remake?" And the guy, it was funny because the guy was at my school like, "Yeah, I didn't want to do a remake or a sequel." And they were like, "You did Evil Dead for it." And he's like, "Well, yeah, but
Right.
money." So he kind of crushed that. But yeah, the Evil Dead remake kind of did that as well, where she was like being fucked by a tree pretty much.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, so that's what it kind of reminded me of at that moment. But that was a pretty fucked up scene with.
Yeah. Well, if you think about the first, I mean, they repeated it again too, because David was on top of the Daniels character, Catherine Waterston's character.
Oh yeah.
When he had her on the table, she punctured his chin with
right.
with the nail around her neck, as a way to sort of escape. But then he was on top of her and said something like, "Is this how it's done?
Is this
for
how
real?"
it's done? Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, rape was a big part of this movie. And if you remember in Alien, when the first android went crazy, he rolled up that magazine and tried to choke.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's the whole hidden premise
Wow.
of these things.
Like this is
There's a very autoerotic, like sexual aspect to these alien xenomorph characters. That's like you're being impregnated with this spawn.
right. Yeah. I mean that aspect, yes, but this total, like every aspect of the Alien movies now, where you saying is pretty much rape. Like
Yeah.
this is just
They wanted to make it the most fearful thing you can think of. What's the most fearful thing you can think of?
is rape.
Bingo.
Okay, so this is the rape saga, which someone will now talk to me about that
Yeah.
because
Your words, not mine. But see, that's the premise, though.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. So where were we at in the movie? I think by now, David. So we're trying to get the Danny McBride character, who is now the captain of the ship. He wants to kind of get closer to the planet, which is going through these planet-wide hurricanes and storm systems. So if he actually puts the ship, if he actually goes to try to save his crew, at this point the whole ship will break up and they'll lose the colonists that they have, which is their main mission, to colonize another planet. Which also kind of, it's another thing about the character and characterization as well, because I really didn't know anybody's link unless they said, oh, this is my wife. And then they got really heartfelt suddenly. And I'm like, not everyone loves their wife or likes their wife, or it's other relationships that you have in life that you could have been upset about it. But it didn't seem, only the characters were like, hey, where's my wife? Also, a woman never said, where's my husband? Which is kind of like, women never really had much of anything in this movie. Like even Carmen, she only gave Dr. Manhattan love one time to say, hey, you can do this. You can kind of be the leader of us now. And beyond that, she was pushed to the background and that was it. Like,
well, she was one of the black characters. She had to die.
Okay, touche. I will accept that. She definitely had to die.
Yeah, she had to die first.
She died second.
She died second, technically.
Well,
but,
well, she had the most lines of a person that died. So, like, initially anyway, because she, like, the guy, I guess one of the Marines, he died first, and then she was runner-up, and then the third Marine died right after her.
Right.
And then the other woman died as well, the one that locked her into the room, which was Danny McBride's wife, which was all he cared about because that was his wife. He didn't care about any other character death throughout the whole movie. Yeah,
for the professionalism that these people, these explorers, are supposed to have to go to other worlds, all that stuff is out the window. Right. When it's me, I got to do for me and mine.
Yeah, it's just about my wife. Yeah. Like nobody cared about anything else.
But then even when he found out, he didn't really react the way you would expect. Like if he went through all that trouble to risk 2,000 souls on the vessel Covenant.
That is a good point. He wasn't that broken up about it.
No, he was like, oh man.
Yeah, it was like,
he acted like he lost a bet.
Yeah, it was
not lost his wife.
It was a quick reaction shot, and then they moved on. Like he never brought her up again.
Did you like his character? Did you like casting him?
I like Danny McBride. Like Tropic Thunder is still probably my favorite thing I've ever seen him in, and then I also liked his show Eastbound and Down. But I just didn't like his character. Like his character, most of the characters actually that were still on the ship I didn't like. I didn't like Jesse from the Mighty Ducks. Him and his wife were kind of pointless.
I thought that they were actually one of the more real couples.
Well, that's only because you saw them together.
Yeah.
You saw them together the longest. You saw Carmen and Dr. Manhattan together maybe 2 seconds.
Right.
You never saw James Franco and Danny together at all. So out of characters, that was the only character that you saw to have any warm moments or kind of like reaction looks and things of that nature. So you saw that connection. But overall, they were still filler.
Yeah.
At least in my mind, they were still filler overall, like out of the character relationships.
Right. I don't know. I thought that it was interesting though to intentionally, as a story device, to intentionally include couples because they were colonizing a new world. Right. Well, and it also makes it easier for someone to care. It's like an automatic, oh, that's my wife. But at the same time, we never saw them together, so we don't know their connection to one another. If you didn't have that automatic, how's my wife doing? What's up with my wife? Is my wife okay? Like if you didn't have those moments, it's harder for. It's pretty much a shortcut to make sure that it's a connection. So the audience will say, oh, okay, well, that's his wife. That's why he wants to do blank. Or that's why Dr. Manhattan is trying to run to this exploding spaceship is because his wife is on board. So like those things make life easier, but it's also lazy in the moments when am I supposed to care that his wife died when I've seen her 10 minutes. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like you said, the real stars are the aliens. Always. And Michael Fassbender. So yeah, everything else is just a vehicle to get us to the next, scene with the alien. Yeah, pretty much. Like it's okay. All right. Moving to the face hugger. It's moving to finally getting the xenomorph. Did you like that they had the face hugger? Okay, so when David takes Billy, am I pronouncing his last name right? Crudup or Crudup? Crudup. Okay. That's why you got to go with Dr. Manhattan, because that's who he is. when Fassbender leads Crudup's character into the back, and there's that illustration of the facehugger on the wall. Mm-hmm. Didn't you think that was way too on the nose? Like, okay, we're about to see a facehugger.
Well, yes, but again, like the thing I sent you, I think he wanted everything to be as explicit as possible.
Yeah,
for this
I guess
movie.
so.
Like,
Everything was explicit.
He even sound cues at points were just like, something's coming, guys. Like, don't.
Yeah.
Like, everything was very on the nose and intentional for you to know the next thing that was coming, the next feeling that was coming, the next moment. Like, I think he wanted you to know these things just so people would say that this was a better film. And so far, it has been getting better audience ratings. So that did happen, but it doesn't look like it's going to make as much money as the Prometheus. So
Prometheus was better. It really was. I'm really let down. I was really hoping for something a little more heady, because it just pretty much mixed aliens and some of the tropes from the first film. Maybe even gave you a little bit of Alien versus Predator with that whole jungle sequence. You know what I mean? Like, not that it was.
Oh yeah.
You know, aliens in the woods. You know what I mean?
Aliens.
So.
No, but even in this movie, I did think it was probably the most interesting part of the movie, which when David arrived to the alien home world, like to the engineers' home world, and pretty much destroyed it with their own technology, I thought that was probably the most interesting part. Not only that he was willing to create, but also to destroy to create. It's kind of always interesting to me with villains when they're willing to, even though it's a terrible trope now, but then when it's like, oh, you know, I'm going to destroy the world, and then, you know, the cream will rise to the top, or, you know, the strongest will survive, and should have, you know, those dumb tropes that do happen. Right. I just thought it was interesting to see him use their technology against them, and also to kind of see the different, how can I put this? So it's like pretty much the different social statuses of the people, because even when they were coming in, it was a priest that was kind of standing over them, and then you kind of see the commoners, and you see like these different levels of people, because when we saw in Prometheus, I just thought everybody was an engineer. Everybody was out here being a scientist, creating worlds, wanting to go destroy Earth, which is kind of fucked up that we're a messed up experiment. But
yeah, so I think one of the interesting things about both of the films, and I give this, I grant that to this one as well, because in both films, Prometheus and in Covenant, they were sort of exploring the idea of what it means, how science and technology and future and world building and stuff also compares or contrasts with faith. Right. So the Billy Crudup character had a statement in the earlier part of the movie where it's saying, like, people of faith, they always think they were just erratic or whatever. He was like, but they didn't really follow up on that.
At all. That was just the only comment.
Yeah, that was one comment. And I want to know what's on the cutting room floor in terms of his backstory, because similarly, Elizabeth Shaw in Prometheus was a person of faith as well.
Right.
She wore her father's cross. Her father was a missionary, died of Ebola. And then in this movie, and she wore a cross around her neck as a way of remembering, and just like tying all this together. Similarly, these engineers have a belief system as well. Like in both Prometheus and in this film, we see these giant heads, like the monolithic heads, like you saw like in Easter Island and stuff. You know, they have their own belief system as well. So how does what they're doing affect how they believe? Just like the learning that in the films that humankind is a byproduct of the engineers' experimentation. Like there's a big tie-in. Like there's a lot of questions that it still asks you, which is why I think it's interesting, and I hope that they make a third film, because I would definitely see it.
Well, I thought they were gonna, like, I didn't think the concept of, I thought there was gonna be more of, at the end of Prometheus, it was the question of, well, if they made us, who made them?
Right.
So that's what I thought they were gonna go after. Not that they were gonna go to the engineer home world, but more of trying to find the DNA links to what made them, or like who experimented on them, and move forward from there. I didn't think, to me, this was more of a step backwards of just trying to explain what Alien was, instead of moving forward about this creation mythology of, all right, so this person made this, nothing's a mistake, these people made this, so like who made them, and keep moving forward. I mean, I know you still have to have the xenomorphs because people pay for that, but
well, there's still another question that has to be dealt with in terms of why David is still wanting to put. So have we veered now from the corporation wanting it? Because in every other film prior, it's been the corporation that's wanted to get their hands on the xenomorphs because they wanted to weaponize him.
Right,
These
but
things
his
like
is more of a
biological
creation thing.
Yeah.
Like these are more like his children, and he's trying to figure out.
Right. Because he doesn't respect humanity.
Yeah, humanity's trash to him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe I think his mindset is more of a creation and trying to have his own world because he
killed all the
right. Yeah, because he didn't like being created by a lesser life form.
Right.
So he wanted to make sure, like, he wants to make sure anything he creates is great and perfect, but not better than him.
Right.
Which is why he's like, he wanted to talk to the one.
Right.
I guess that wasn't a xenomorph quite yet. That was
some sort of breed.
Yeah, I don't know what you call those, but there was some sort of hybrid. Like it was but which looked kind of dope. I'm not gonna lie. I wish that was
cool.
I wish they used those a little bit more, like the all white.
You like those
hybrid? Yeah, that was just dope.
I was actually really happy to see the all black, like not mechanical, but exoskeleton xenomorph.
Oh,
I thought that was cool.
You wanted the originals? Okay.
Yeah, I like that one.
Okay.
I think the design is really cool.
Oh no, that is one of. I mean, that's classic. But it was just cool to see this all white, just random. Almost looked like it could talk.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Pucker that is like,
it was like, okay, like this is getting a little bit freaky.
Yeah.
But I think it's a lot of questions that they still could answer, but I'm not necessarily sure they're going to, especially once, again, it depends on the international returns. If they're good, yeah, they'll answer whatever question we have, as we see with the 8 Fast and the Furious movies. But
well, I don't know. I mean, I want to have those question answers, but I'm not that hopeful. And the reason I'm not is because, like, when you start relying on stuff we've already seen, this is the same beef I had with the Star Wars movie.
The new one?
Yeah, well,
see, we can't disrespect J.J. Abrams at any time. Like this is.
That's right. You have that and Zoe, huh?
Yeah, him and Zoe can never be disrespected on this podcast, like ever.
So, is there no opportunity for us to watch that Nina Simone film and talk?
I like to plead the fifth on that.
Okay.
I don't know what Nina Simone film you're talking about. I don't know if one ever exists. I did see.
Even though in her film, she said that now, as a result of having played all these aliens, she realizes that color is just a man-made. What'd she say? Something crazy.
She was saying she was colorless because she plays all these different sci-fi films, so it's like she feels colorless when she plays these. But again, Zoe can really do no wrong in moments, so we're not.
One of the baddest white women ever walked the planet.
Look, we can't. No Zoe slander. J.J. Abrams, on the other hand, he can get a little bit of slander for Star Wars, but not much because it was a fun film.
All right. Well, okay.
He can get light slander.
Well, wait. Okay, let's follow this train of thought then. We'll get off of Zoe. Bless her. No, God bless Zoe.
Look, and if your wife can set up a meeting, I'll take it. I will take it.
God bless Zoe Saldana. I feel like though that's an interesting point because the colorlessness aspect, when you go back to the colonization, was kind of interesting because there were no people your complexion or even mine in the film. You know what I mean? Like all the black folks were
true. I mean, we don't know the colonists.
We don't know the colonists.
We only know the crew. So
yeah. I mean, Idris Elba was in the last one.
Very true.
You know what I'm saying?
But he was only really there to fuck Charlize. That was the only reason he was there, and to save them.
I thought his character was stronger than that. I liked him. I liked him as much as
you like Idris. Like
I do like Idris, but I feel like he was kind of like a throwback to Yaphet Kotto's character.
Somewhat, but at the same time, he really didn't have beyond if he didn't actually destroy I don't think he actually destroyed the ship, but I think he stopped the engineer from being able to take off to destroy Earth.
No, he destroyed the ship. Didn't he? He
destroyed
went
the whole
hyperdrive and rammed into it.
Well, what
right?
ship did they use to leave then? That was a whole different ship.
What did he do?
He definitely stopped the engineer from going leaving to destroy.
That's my point. It was a leadership role,
right?
He was a leader. Yaphet was a leader. I mean, even though he was money hungry, and Idris's character was on a job too.
But Idris's character, the only things you really knew, he was a leader. Yes, he fucked Charlize, which
if you can't be with the one you love,
look, good Lord,
love the one you're with.
But yeah, at the same time, I didn't think he really did. He brought a charisma to that character that probably wasn't written. I will say that. Yeah. He probably brought something to the character that wasn't there at all. But I didn't think he was necessarily a strong characterization of. I mean, again, he's just a guy that was going to die in the Alien movie. It wasn't. It's hard to really give much.
Yeah.
You're gonna die.
Well, I mean, but back to that idea, like, what do you think about like blacks in space? Because since LeVar Burton, we haven't had too many of them.
Well, I mean, you did. In Star Trek, you get a few. Usually they're Klingons.
Yeah.
Which are bad guys. Unless you talk about
Worf.
Yeah, Worf. Yeah. Like, he's the only good one. LeVar Burton, of course.
Whoopi.
That movie doesn't count.
No, she was in the series too. She had like an on again, off again part in the series.
I don't remember that. If that's true, then yes.
Yeah, she had a hat and everything. No, she had a really cool hat.
Because Whoopi is special. Like, Whoopi is one of my spirit animals, so Whoopi is special. Yeah. But the movie she was in wasn't. I don't know what was going on. It was like, I think that was the one that Shatner came back. Okay, so I don't know what's going on there.
Echo.
Yeah, I think you just echoed too.
You want to pause it?
Yeah, let's pause. We'll be right back. Oh, got you. I do remember him. Oh, sorry. So, okay, guys, we're back. So we were talking about the Blacks in Space, which sounds like a dope-ass miniseries that could be on WeTV at any time now.
That sounds fun.
But so I was trying to go over which blacks we had in space. I just reminded Justin that Tyler Perry was definitely an admiral in the Star Trek 2009 movie, so he was a black in space.
Yes, it's true.
Along with Zoe, she's a sometimes black in space because if she's playing a black role,
she's an ethnic ambiguous in space.
Yeah, so Zoe's if it's a black role, she's a black in space, but if not, she's just a Latina or ambiguous, so she could be either or she could be J-Lo, who just plays white women, which I appreciate from Jenny from the Block.
Well, okay, so then if we. I don't know. It's touchy territory, and we're going more in the sci-fi route. But I just think that if it's interesting that we're colorless, then we could have some more. We have some darker characters in space.
We could, because it definitely, to your point, it definitely wasn't many dark-skinned people that were colonized in this world, or origami, or whatever the world was called, Oregano 6, whatever it was. So it wasn't many black people that we saw, like dark-skinned black people that were coming along for the ride for this one.
And all of them are in interracial relationships. Did you notice that?
Interracial, and they, except for Jesse from the Mighty Ducks, they weren't that young either. Like, for you to be starting a colony of, like you want some younger bucks. But then again, the colonists might have been.
Well, you're preserved pretty well from the cryo sleep.
Right. But
you're younger on the inside, I guess.
But then you're also throwing up bile and shit. Yeah. Like, I don't know how good your sperm is after.
Yeah. Little frostbitten.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's a science into this that we need to talk about. You need to have Michael Eric Dyson on or something.
He's a black in space.
Yeah.
He is. He's always telling you about space, big bangs and
everything. But no, it is interesting to kind of see the casting for the movie. It was all interracial couples, which I didn't notice originally. Well, no, Danny McBride, what was his wife?
Well, they weren't all, but I'm saying the black characters were not coupling with other black characters.
Nah, Carmen deserves some white dick in her life. I think she deserves that Dr. Manhattan dick. So Carmen deserves that. But yeah, just the movie overall, like it.
It's just an interesting point because they had Idris in the first one. I'm sorry, in Prometheus.
Prometheus, right?
They had Yaphet Kotto. They even had Charles S. Dutton. Charles S. Dutton was doing his thing in Alien 3, which you didn't like.
Yeah, no, because it was the alien. It was the colony, the prison colony, which made no sense.
It didn't. It didn't. I don't know why it was a prison colony, except for confinement. Everything in Alien movies.
Like storytelling wise, yes.
Yeah,
but just story overall, it's like, why are we here?
You know what? We have to appreciate Alien 3. I'm going to tell you why.
More than 2? No.
I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
That launched the career of David Fincher.
I do love Fincher.
So, go back and look at it with fresh eyes.
Oh, I mean, I can. I still won't like it. Because he wasn't prime Fincher yet. He wasn't just randomly pushing in on houses for no reason.
Right.
Fincher quite yet.
Right.
Playing melodramatic music. Like, that's prime Fincher.
Gotcha.
That's Dragon Tattoo Fincher. That's
creeping you out.
Oh man, just on shots. It's like, Fincher, what are we doing here?
Love it.
This is too much.
I still think Zodiac is highly underrated.
I was gonna say Zodiac was also prime Fincher when he was stepping in of being, we're just gonna show shots of fog and fuck you up.
Terribly. Okay. Terribly.
Yeah, you're like, okay.
And the fog rolled in.
Thank you for your time. I'm scared. I'm very scared now.
Oh, last Fincher comment. The Game.
The Game.
You haven't seen The Game?
No.
Maxwell, you need to see The Game.
Okay.
The Game was, I think, another sleeper.
All right, what was this?
For you fans out there of David Fincher or good movies in general, check out The Game.
One of
Michael
my friends'
Douglas, Sean
ex-girlfriends
Penn.
is like a Fincher enthusiast.
She knows about it.
I'm sure she does. I'm
If she's
sure
a-
if
if
she
she's a
ever
Fincher
listens
fan?
to this, she'll text me or something and be like, "What the fuck do you mean you didn't see?"
I mean, hey, I'm having a ball talking about this, but if you want to come back and do some throwbacks of some other white films and have some black guys,
Well, see,
review
that's
it,
the plan because I've heard this a lot that I definitely need to do some like a Thursday throwback, like
I'm there.
to just do a film like somebody just loves to come in and talk about some random ass.
Oh yeah, I will invite myself over. I'll be brother man from the fifth floor. I just come in your window. Hey man, we'll do
like,
podcast.
hey, so we're doing the game.
Mhm.
We're ready. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is an interesting concept to see blacks in space. The most prominent one I think might be Mace Windu from the Star Wars
Yes.
trilogies. Like he's probably the most prominent black I've ever seen in space.
Samuel.
Yeah. I guess
I like to compress all the names. So Samuel L. Jackson is just Samuel.
well, I mean,
For
or
me.
you could just call him Sam at this point. I think he's just
No, it's Mr. Jackson if you meet him.
Yeah, really.
Mr. Jackson if you're nasty. Remember that?
I don't know why you had
Remember that? You remember that from
I mean,
Janet Jackson?
from Janet, but I don't know why you had to use this on Sam. Like,
I don't know. I'm sorry.
come on. But no, that is an interesting concept to think about, like our representation, even in space films, like even in sci-fi, like we don't get much of that. Same thing with fantasy; it's kind of weird, except for Kamora's husband.
Right.
Like her ex-husband is the only black guy that can be in any fantasy movie.
Right.
So that's always interesting to see as well. But just with Covenant overall, it was a lot of interracial. Well, it was 3 interracial couples, and then we don't know what the colonists were. Probably they might have been all black, kind of like the Matrix, where it was just all black people in Zion.
Then we get into the middle passage, like
Right.
middle passage
It's
space version.
It's very interesting how you suddenly start to characterize things.
Yeah, wow, the galactic passage.
Yeah, I'm
Deep.
really getting some DMs about this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like the representation part is interesting because, well, Hidden Figures just came out, right? So we know that there's a contribution in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So it just would make, and if you're trying to colonize a world, isn't that an interesting tool, like subconsciously, to not see that the people that you're a part of be considered for the colonization of a new world?
Which is very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just interesting.
Yeah, that's
interesting.
very
But it
true.
does. It also, we also know that really did that new, what was it, Gods of Egypt film?
Oh, with no Egyptians, no
Egyptians,
blacks,
yeah.
no Africans whatsoever.
No Kushite insight.
Yeah, so I mean, that might have been a good film. I never saw it. I don't
see
know.
it either. I don't know.
I doubt it, but it could have been decent.
It might have been.
But even with so with Alien, so going back to that,
Yes, we
so at
take
this point in
another
the
rabbit
movie,
trail, yeah.
no. So at this point in the movie now, everything is fucked up. Of course, we finally have to reveal that David is trying to make his own xenomorphs, and he's figured out through his testing that he needs human DNA to kind of make the perfect killing machine, or in his
It's the secret sauce.
yeah, in his sense, he wants to kind of make the perfect children. So that's pretty much what he's come up with now, and he wants to use Danny's DNA to kind of make this child. They have this knockout, drag-out battle with David and the xenomorph against Walter and Danny in Tennessee, who comes down to save them. So you see David and Walter kind of get into this huge fight. You think Walter wins. And then they go, of course, they kill the xenomorph. They get back on the ship. Everything seems great and wonderful.
Now, we can't gloss over that.
What?
Because two things. Well, we all knew, well, I won't say we all. I called it, you called it,
Well, yeah, just,
that David had offed Walter.
yeah, I was kind of
Because if you don't see somebody die on screen, they didn't die. Not no horror film.
very
If
true.
you don't see them give up the ghost, then they're still somewhere
But see,
kicking.
the thing is, it also may be an aspect to it where we've seen too many movies. Because I was telling you before we got back on recording that there was a chick in my theater that was just so shocked when she found out that
She was floored, huh?
Yeah, she was just like, what? No.
You saw the
no.
Court Street?
Yeah, no, I saw it on, it's this little theater called the Frank Theater in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Like right across the bridge. So it was like, she was the most surprised person I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
And actually that theater, strangely, they don't have the recliner seats, which I don't get why, but they have this vibrating technology for their theater. So it's not the full 4D, but it randomly will just vibrate
I'll never
when
do that
something
again.
explodes. So it's like,
I'll never do that again.
it's probably a movie that'll be worth it at some point in your life.
If it's specifically made for that experience, maybe I'll try.
Because I think I've only done that once, which is another digression, but I think it was at Universal and it was like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
That's my
ride or some
point.
shit.
It's a
Yeah,
ride. It becomes
right,
a
yeah.
ride, not a movie.
Yeah, and it like tickled your feet and shit. It was a very weird.
Yeah, like rats ran through. Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember
yeah,
that.
that's
I
what it
did
was,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. I remember that back in the day.
Yeah, I remember because we just put our feet up the rest of the time because we really
Didn't wanna
thought
feel them
rats
rats.
ran. It was like the dumbest shit to be a child.
That's funny. Oh, okay. So again, getting back on the ship. Didn't you see the similarity again between another aliens trope that was used, like heavy metal machinery being used?
Well,
to kill?
yeah, I saw that set up from the beginning when the ship was first damaged in the beginning of the movie, and they did their full diagnostic check of the whole movie, and they went in.
I thought that was cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, the build. See, to me, what makes these alien movies good is always the build up of him showing like the sound cues of everything dropping out. So later, like you get nothing originally, but later, then that's going to be a jump,
Right.
Or the hallway that's dark and suddenly becomes lit. Later, that's going to be a xenomorph standing there.
Right.
So those setups are always good. Like he's a master of that shit.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
even in Blade Runner, it was a guy running and then he turns the corner, nothing's there. He turns back, boom, it's a problem. So he's a master of that shit. But just the like I knew that was going to come just because how you saw the heavy machinery that they had. That I said, oh, they got to use that later because like, yeah,
Well,
he needs that.
Well, that's at the final killing of when they finally killed it.
Well, no, they showed that as well on the original. Like she climbed into the
Gotcha. Got the
crane
suit
thing.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the little,
yeah.
So she climbed in and like checked it, and then she went under and cried about
Right.
Franco dying.
Right.
So-
Right. Yes.
right,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. But I was talking about the crane.
Yeah, no, that
when they
that
were
crane-
flying away, and
The-
the xenomorph got stuck in the jaws of the crane.
Yeah, so that's like the fighter from Aliens. Yeah, but
Yeah.
they showed that as well at the beginning. Like they showed all that.
Yeah.
They kind of pan by it, so they don't focus on
Didn't
it. But you
address
can,
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you can kind of see like that crane there. So I
Little
thought
foreshadowing
already that
for
they
you.
were going to use, like you have to use that if you're going to show it. Yeah, it looks like something's happening in Brooklyn right now. If you guys can hear the helicopter go across, but. So I knew they were going to show something along those lines at that point, which I thought was dope. And he probably thought that he needed it, that people needed that extra, those extra action elements to everything.
Yeah.
And we'll see. We'll see if it actually works out for him. Like right now, again, like I said, I think they barely squeaked out the weekend, which would have been a little embarrassing if they didn't.
Right. I was
And-
excited though. I was really looking forward to this. I saw the trailer for this. What did I go see? Anyway, I can't remember. It wasn't Ex Machina. That would have been way too long ago.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that would have been a minute ago. But no, the trailers for it were good.
Oh, it was when I went to go see Hidden Figures.
They had
They had more space movies.
Okay. I guess that is a connection. That is a space connection, technically.
No. It wasn't a trailer. It was a billboard. I was in L.A. and it was playing at the RDX theater. Is that an RDX? Is that? Am I saying that wrong?
RDX?
Yeah, there's some like.
Where? Which theater?
It's in Playa Vista,
Playa Vista.
not far from Culver City, and they have a. Anyway, that's where I.
Yeah, I'm not sure what theater is down there.
Blah blah. Long story.
Yeah. But anyway, so we finally found out that it was actually David the whole time that saved them, that was helping them out, and like I said, the chick in my theater was just blown away. She's never seen a twist before in her life.
Don't watch any M. Night Shyamalan films. You will lose
she
your
has
mind.
never. She was just so shocked about everything in life, which I think as filmmakers we have to think of sometimes, because a lot of people don't watch all this fucking content,
Right.
and so when they see certain things, it's like, oh shit, that is
Well, I think
quite
that,
amazing.
Yeah, I think that you'll hear a lot of filmmakers talk about how the audience is so oversaturated with a lot of the things that have come to be commonplace expressions in film. Like, for example, like you said, the switcheroo, right?
Right.
Or not seeing around the corner. Like, we come to expect some of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're actually fulfilled and we can predict, I mean, God bless that lady in the theater who was genuinely surprised. But I don't know. I think that we saw it coming. Now, what I wish that the Danny character would have asked the question before she got in the pod, and
Obviously.
she knew she should ask that question
Obviously.
before she got in the pod.
She should. My thing is,
She wouldn't ask that question when she was stitching them up.
I forgot to mention this, but I just feel like none of the characters really had motivations to do some of the shit that they did or not
Right.
do sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like Dr. Manhattan was this super...
You're going to stay calling him Manhattan.
He's Dr. Manhattan. So he was this super strict by-the-book guy that did everything by the manual.
Actually, he didn't.
But he was initially.
Formally, okay.
Yeah, like formally when they set him up, he was the by-the-book guy that nobody was really trusting. And that's why he was like, he wasn't quite sure that they would follow him.
Right.
And then suddenly he stepped into the leadership role, and it was this guy that was just like, oh, we can just switch plans and go here, and we can just do this. And he's taking votes on shit. And it's
Right.
like,
You in charge, dude.
yeah, like why suddenly is everything a vote from you?
Right.
Like why are you allowing your wife to just go off by herself? And,
Right.
and like you were the safe guy, and
Yeah.
suddenly you're like, okay, you're good with one Marine.
Yeah.
No,
Mm-mm.
that's not how.
No.
That's not how life works. And the same with her. It's like, it's two different synthetic characters there.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing in your mind should be, are you really Walter? Like,
Right.
can we?
Yeah.
Like, it makes no sense for you just to accept that his arm is gone. So
No, especially because these people are supposed to be scientists as well. I mean, you're supposed to question.
not only question that, but question yourself. Why,
Yeah.
why don't we see a scene of them checking out themselves to make sure
Mm-hmm.
they weren't infected? The same with Danny McBride's character. Why aren't we seeing these little things?
That's why Carmen should have understood why Homegirl locked that door behind her.
Well, no, homegirl locked the door behind her on some petty shit. She was just scared.
No, she got that blood splatter on her too. She should have stayed in that room and got jacked up.
That's why I'm saying it's petty,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
if
yeah.
you're really trying to quarantine some
Right.
shit, you'd have been like, all right, well,
I got it. Yeah,
this is all of us.
gotta take an L.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, she was on some. Okay, well, good luck.
yeah.
You're the black character, so you go first.
Yeah.
And
It's up to you, Carmen.
yeah, like good luck. I actually thought Carmen was gonna make it for a moment.
Yeah,
I had like a
I
momentary.
did too. I kind of did too.
Yeah, 'cause they didn't kill her
she's
right
a
away.
strong one. Like she, you can imagine her being more Ripley-esque.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, head on her shoulders, stick to the mission. This is what we got to do.
Right.
In the same way that Ripley was supporting the captain in the Nostromo in the first one,
Right.
Carmen was kind of supporting the captain in this one. So I
actually thought maybe it's just my because I like
Yeah.
her, but
Yeah,
I
I like
actually
her
thought
too.
she was gonna make it.
no, I really like
convinced.
Carmen Ejogo. I
Yeah.
really was hoping to see more of her. P.S. Can we just give a shout out for how cool the ship's names are? Nostromo, Prometheus, the Covenant, like
They're very heavy on mythology.
yeah. I mean, these are not the names you hear for like Royal Caribbean
Nah,
or Carnival.
I mean Carnival.
The Carnival-
is pretty dope.
Yeah,
No,
but they don't have the Carnival Nostromo. That's the party ship. I want to be a part of it. Well, maybe you
No,
don't.
you don't.
Maybe you don't. Not
That's why they
disappointed.
don't have those names. Yeah, no. The Carnival, Prometheus. People are like,
Maybe not.
we've been there for that one.
Yeah.
So, but overall, you just weren't feeling this one. It wasn't.
There are lots of things I really wanted to like. There are lots of throwbacks that I appreciated and lots of throwbacks I did not. So, for example, I really appreciated seeing that sleek all-black xenomorph.
Okay.
It was like a Lamborghini coming down the road. Just sick. I loved it. I appreciated some of the fulfillment of what they set you up for in Prometheus.
Right.
I wish there would have been more. I mean, I feel like what they set us up from the beginning was a whole switcheroo. So, for example, in seeing David speaking to Peter Whalen, I thought there was going to be a little more of maybe that, but that was just a throwback to set you up for what David's motivation was.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I guess he was assuming that a lot of people didn't see Prometheus, and that's why I had to give you that backstory and that exposition. Do you think that's why?
No, I think it was more of a setup of you don't have to see Prometheus. Here you go.
But you do. That's a
But
good
but I
movie.
think that's what he kind of set it up as
Yeah.
like these are going to be independent things.
Yeah.
Like so yes, it's a prequel, a sequel to a prequel, but at the same time, like you could have just walked in this cold and still know what was going on.
Yeah.
Still understand all the relationships. Still understood Dr. Shaw and all of this.
Yeah. Well, in continuing, I liked some of the lore in terms of what the engineers were going through. We talked about it a little bit earlier. The backstory with the engineers, even the whole idea of the xenomorphs being expressed through a virus.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Good.
they started the whole virus idea in Prometheus, but they continued it in this one. They puffed out in spores and like what sort of viral way mutants, pathogens are they using to try and spread this? I thought that was kind of cool. And the chest bursters that are back, the face huggers are back. That was kind of fun too. But overall, I feel like some of the deeper questions that Ridley Scott might have addressed had Prometheus done better. He sort of let go to make more of a shoot 'em up. And I think that the success of the first film, Alien, it was the fact that it was a psychological thriller that left you feeling confined. Like their confinement was what made you scared. And so if you just add a bunch of guns, she didn't even have a projectile weapon.
No.
In the first, except like the harpoon that killed her.
Yeah, I was about to say toward the end.
But, there were no like guns with bullets.
They didn't know anything. That was the thing that made it creepy. They knew nothing.
Right.
They didn't even if they were going to shoot it. It was
right.
It was a surprise to them if it worked or not. So.
Yeah. So I guess it's just some of those things that are like strict filmmaking, and this might be heady, but go with me.
Okay. All
right. So Wayland Corp, right?
Okay.
They were the money hungry, greedy. We will do whatever to you to get our way to make our money, including bio warfare, all that kind of stuff, right? And Ripley, the ragtag miner, makes her way and defeats the alien in spite of. The first Alien film was made for $8 million.
Right.
I wonder how much money. I'm sure there is a factor or a metric on how much it cost to make this movie, but
we'll see
what the budget was basically.
Right, but I'm saying you can't go with the first Alien movie and then because James Cameron needs a budget.
He does. James Cameron needs a budget.
He needs a budget.
But similarly, I feel like this movie has become in real life what Wayland is to the fictitious life. It was about money. This film was about money because the artistry of the Alien films is what's most beautiful about it. I feel like the fact that this dark creature in the dark in a place you can't get out of is what makes the film and the genre so great.
Right.
The genre in general, but the series in specific so great because you don't need to have like the 40X seats. You don't need to have,
You're
all
really on these seats.
I hated that, man. I really did. I did not enjoy that experience. The folding chair was better. But so anyway, I feel like this movie went the way of Wayland Corps. Like it was about the money.
That's it.
It was about the money.
Actually, to be honest, like James didn't do as much as I thought. He only got an $18 million budget. And I guess to your point, it did make less money worldwide. It ended up making about $20 million less. Alien 3 got a $50 million budget. Alien Resurrection, which was got a $70 million budget, but they keep losing about 20 or so million each film worldwide.
So the only one that grossed off the bat was their first one.
Yeah, pretty much the one that.
What's the moral of the story, people? The money will not make the film better.
Well, the one that did the best monetarily probably is Prometheus, but they spent $125 million on that one. And so then you got to think about probably.
But it was all on the screen. Like even everything from the CGI to the cinematography to the set design. We need to give a shout out to the production designers too.
Oh, they crushed. Well, I will even say in Prometheus they crushed that.
Oh my gosh!
They crushed.
Yeah, well, it was Arthur Max in Prometheus. I can't remember who it is in this one.
Let me check because that looked amazing. That was an amazing looking film.
Yeah, no, Arthur Max is brilliant. You'll remember him from Seven as well, going back to David Fincher.
You know what? This Fincher love, I'm going to be watching Girl with the Dragon Tattoo tonight.
I need to check it out. I haven't seen it. Don't tell anybody.
Oh, my. That's probably, even though it's a remake, which I don't necessarily love remakes all the time, but he's
David Fincher.
I don't know how he does this. It's like what cocaine is he on that works this way?
I want to say it's probably not cocaine. It's probably just a
He has to be on something.
healthy dose of creativity.
He has to be on something.
Whatever he's on. Yeah. I appreciate him.
Yeah, I know.
And I appreciate Ridley Scott too. My only beef with the film is it seemed like a film and felt like a film that was more about breaking box office than being true to the reason why Alien is great. That's why I like Prometheus. People said it was slow, but people criticized the first film as well.
But see, the first film also, again, I think he's a master at the build-up. So the first film had that build-up that led to the horror scenes. So by that point, you were already settled in and you kind of, you wanted to be scared at that point. Prometheus was more of, it was kind of like you had a think piece for a film. And
there was action.
It was
Charlize Theron lit a dude on fire.
Yeah, but that was after he went around
and the giants and the architects.
But look how late in the movie you're getting. Like this was probably an hour and a half in before she even lit him on fire. Maybe. Like 2 hours in, the giant came back to life. The engineer ripped somebody's head off, ripped David's head off.
Yeah.
Killed Waylon.
Yeah.
No, that movie was a slow build for us to still have more questions about life and love and happiness, but yeah, no.
I do still give him the credit for being, I'll say, a cultural or social, even maybe in part scientific prophet, because just like we are taking great pains to see about if it's feasible to colonize Mars, he's already talking about. I mean, that's what all science fiction does. All science fiction is a prelude to help us have a context for what's down the road.
Yeah, what's
in science
coming,
reality.
and that's why it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Covenant. Where did you rank this? Like in the Alien films, where did you rank? And you can't leave out any of them, so don't.
I can only tell you ones I've seen.
Okay, so which ones have you seen?
Okay, so Alien, the first one, the original, is still the best.
Okay.
Yeesh. Okay, my gut says Alien, Prometheus, this. But if I were being critical, I would say Alien 3, Prometheus, this.
Okay. Alien 3. I don't know how your love for Alien 3 is just so...
It makes sense.
They are on an off-world prison colony.
Yes, which is very strange. I don't understand that.
The movie ended there for me. I was like, okay, all right, guys, let's...
I don't understand why, but it stayed true to the reason why Alien is good, because you can't see it. It comes up late in the film. How are they going to get out? They're confined. They have no weapons.
Well, I get that aspect of it does make it good because it's claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes you, it kind of makes him think more instead of just a shoot 'em up like James Cameron gave us. But he gave us Aliens is special. It's a special film.
Game over, man. Game over. That's the standout.
I mean, that was also during those 80s movies weren't.
What year was that?
I think that was 80.
88, 89?
No, it was 86 because that had to be a year before I was born. I want to say.
You're young. Yeah, 86.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, I definitely felt like it was a year before because I remember seeing it and I was maybe 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember one of my cousins saying, "Oh, this came out before you were born," so that's why it's kind of like it always burned into my brain. Like, oh, one of my favorite directors did something.
Well, you know what? That's funny because Alien came out in 1979. A year before I was born.
It's meant to be.
It's meant to be. It's on the DNA, Max.
That's just how they make things. All right. All right, so we're at an hour and 21 minutes, so let's wrap this up.
Yeah,
let's
I think we've bored them enough.
Yeah, they're probably done with this shit. They probably stopped at about when we did the little break. They were like, you know what, I'm over this shit.
They had their bathroom break as well.
So
it's like what was it Alfred Hitchcock said that a movie should only be as long as the audience is able to not get up and go to the bathroom.
That means these days with these ADHD people, it will be, 5 minutes?
When's the last time you watched a movie without checking your phone?
This past movie.
Okay, I guess I'm exempt from that. Well, I won't say exempt, but I disqualify myself because I was making notes for this podcast, which, by the way, was really fun, and I'm really, really excited to be here. This is my first podcast, and I'm really glad that we
No,
had a chance
thank
to-
you for coming. But yeah, no, you can't be making, because I'm going to, like I did this bit earlier where it was this guy that sued this chick because she had her phone out during their date, and he sued her for the $17.31 he spent on his ticket. So
That's petty. That's funny.
it's probably the best story I've heard all year, easily. Like, to that level of pettiness to say, hey, like, not only that, here's the layers of it, right? So he asked her out. It's over, like, it's like a Tinder type thing, right? First date, they go to the movies. They're checking out Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's why she was on her phone.
Exactly. So her whole point was when they finally followed up with her, she was like, my friend texted me to make sure I wasn't being fucked with by some weird dude.
Gotcha.
I texted her back a few times, and he just was like, hey, this is not what we do in the movie theater.
Wow,
like, maybe
he's a
you should
purist.
go outside.
He's a purist.
And she was his ride.
Oh.
And she said, okay, I'll be right back, and just left him. And so he decided to, like, just stalk her since then and say, I want my $17.31 back. Sued her in small claims court.
That's a small claim.
Yeah, and very small.
Yeah.
And the only reason and then he got his money back because Inside Edition decided to track both of them down, and she paid him the $17.31.
Did she throw it in his face like single by single, like, here you go?
No, the pettiest
that.
part was she actually had the 31 cent. That's what I love the best of it.
That's hilarious.
That she didn't come with the 20. Like, she wasn't.
You know what that reminds me of? Remember that show Cheaters?
Yeah, it was. Remember, I still watch clips on YouTube
Yeah, that
sometimes
show
if I want to
cheated.
feel better.
I mean, yeah, that pettiness. It's the pettiness.
No. It's the most amazing shit ever. But thank you for coming. Do you have like any social media or anything you want to shout out?
You know, you can follow me on Instagram at Mr. Justin Ervin. That's MrJustinErvin. Check out my work. Max was very kind in introducing me by credential at the beginning. So my work is on my website, justinervin.film. That's JUSTINERVIN.film. And there you go. You'll follow my happenings on the interwebs.
My happenings. All right. And as always, follow us on YouTube at Tom Fondle, and then also on Instagram at Maxwell Towson. RIP Alex, and we'll see you guys next week.
Tom Fondle.